It was never my intention to publicly share my discovery on how the DNA-activated nanobots could be applied for cosmetic use. I had been using the customized formula for myself for years, with none of my colleagues being the wiser. But then there was an incident that ruined clandestine side projects for everyone. There was a brilliant scientist by the name of Dr. Germain Williams, whose own personal experiments ended up on a black market of nanoproducts. He was fired for his indiscretion, and since then, new lab activity was monitored and managed by an AI-directed database called DEENA. Up until that point, research documentation was comprised of paper files from long ago or digital uploads to the database. The human element of this procedure made it easy for some projects to become undocumented, like the nanomaterials I had squirreled away for my personal experiments. My stash was one of the last side projects I was able to create before laboratory workflow was incorporated into the AI supercomputer. The DNA-triggering hair color was an idea I came up with while lamenting the premature gray hairs gradually taking over my temples. Wishing there was a way to permanently delete them, I fantasized about hacking my DNA to reverse the hands of time. Genetic modification via nanobots was one of the new skills I was adding to my repertoire as a scientist at Nanophile Laboratories. After 3 months of undercover work, I designed a serum comprised of modified DNA nanobots that, when applied to my scalp, returned the hair strands back to their original dark brown color. I was pleasantly surprised to see the effect lasted nearly 3 months. The hair began to grow brown from the roots. I decided to call it DEENA color. None of my male counterparts in the lab took notice of my changing hair color. If they did notice the loss of white around my hairline, they didn't comment on it. But Dr. Carolyn Parker, a new recruit to the facility program, did. She had beautiful long red hair that I secretly envied. The first day that I showed up without my gray, she complimented me on my youthful appearance and asked me if I was using henna. I gave her a quick no and returned to my work, hoping that she wouldn't ask me any follow-up questions. The next month, however, I noticed her looking closely at my hair as we stood talking. It wasn't actually my hair that she was looking at, but my scalp. She was looking for the line of demarcation where gray should have been showing. Weeks later, when it still hadn't, she asked me again about what I was using to color my hair. I thought her rude for asking this. Despite her persistent questions, I managed to avoid giving a direct answer. I don't know how, but I think she knew that my unnaturally natural hair color had something to do with our work as nanobot engineers. I'd never tell. Most of our product development was for health and wellness. Although the company was starting to branch out into cosmetics, I wasn't ready to share my formula. I kicked myself for my absent-mindedness when I forgot to lock up the batch of hair color in my personal locker when I went on vacation for a week. When I came back, not only was my special batch missing from my workstation drawer, but a schematic of it was posted on one of the whiteboards in the laboratory. I was enraged when I saw the familiar chemical makeup of my formula scrawled there. Dr. Parker was one of the first people I saw my initial day back. Her face lit up when she saw me, as if she had some girlish secret to tell me. With narrowed eyes, I asked her about the drawing on the whiteboard. She said it was a discovery that came about while I was gone. She claimed she came across the bottle in my desk while looking for a measuring device that had been misplaced at her own workstation. The amber bottle was unlabeled and pushed far back into the corner of the drawer. For all anyone knew, it could have been an essential oil or CBD product. Someone decided to test the contents of the bottle, and from there, the unique formula conceived for my own use was mapped out as a shareable discovery moment for all to see. To the novice scientist, the diagram wouldn't have seemed particularly useful. But anyone working in our research facility long enough would be able to tell that the DNA-based compound was something that could be used cosmetically, essentially as a new nanoproduct. I thought all of this to myself as I stared at the board. Parker watched my face as I looked over the schematic. She raised an eyebrow and smiled. "I think I know why you haven't been growing gray hair in a while," she sang. "This is amazing," she added. "Congrats on the breakthrough." I couldn't tell if she was being flippant or truly naive in thinking that the formula was something I was planning on debuting. But now that it was out in the open, I had to behave as if that was the case. Later that week, the memo came out about Big DEENA automatically aggregating all laboratory research. DEENA was an acronym for Network Integrated Nanobot Accessories. They included the tools, equipment, and instruments that we used in most of our processes. Big DEENA was the ultimate instrument that connected with all the devices on the network. Using the AI server for the supervision and delegation of our activities at the company was a long-debated idea. Fully integrating the AI supercomputer to our processes would liken Big DEENA to an omniscient, digital god to our nanobots and nanobot-activated equipment. Once she was fully online, no research or engineering of bots would go undocumented. Not my personalized hair color, or anything else.